Hey everybody, Chris Perillo here with 2 hands on the wheel and 4 eyes on the road, at least when I'm not sitting at a stoplight en route to my destination here in Seattle, Washington. I'm fresh from Paris, France, where I was invited to keynote Le Web 09 there on the main stage, courtesy of Loic and Geraldine Lamore, who produced one hell of a conference. And from one conference producer to others, let me just say that they treated everybody like a VIP as much as they possibly could. Undoubtedly. I cannot express enough gratitude for how I felt just as a regular old attendee. Everyone was given food, drink, everything was covered with the price of their ticket. Wi-Fi worked very well. Power outlets were few and far between, but still, considering they had to accommodate a few thousand people there in the room, I think they did a very, very good job. Amazing job with Le Web 09. And I've known Loic for years. He's actually recorded a couple of videos where he wanted to express his gratitude for my entrepreneurial spirit. And so I guess I wanted to return the favor. So Le Web 09 was an absolute hit. If you have a chance to watch the videos from that conference, please do. They were recorded live and are still on the Ustream channel for the conference. I believe I've already embedded the community presentation that I did, my keynote there at Le Web, on my blog at chris.perillo.com. I've done it a few times before. This was the first time I presented it in front of a European audience. Now, the real reason why I'm recording this video is to talk specifically about the role of Twitter at conferences. I'm not sure it's as much of a good thing as people think it is. And this is with me putting on my virtual conference hat, having been a conference producer for the past 9 years with GnomeDex, heading into a decade of producing that particular event. It ain't easy at all. And Twitter, as I've said before, is a great place for you to tell the world what you're thinking before you've had a chance to think about it. Now, my presentation was in the afternoon, up against a morning of dev-centric announcements, including Twitter, Facebook, MySpace. All the heavy hitters were right there on stage that morning. And my, keynote was more, I guess, of a high-level nature, less tangible, more getting people to think about community and the spirit of community and where it exists. Of course, as I said, I've done it before. You've likely seen it if you've subscribed to my YouTube channel. But not everybody in the audience was interested in hearing what I had to present. You can't make everybody happy. That's fine. I kind of assume that. But as the weekend rolled on with the other presentations, I noticed that many people who were tweeting, at least the tweets that I could read, considering that the majority of the audience was made up of Europeans. I mean, go figure, it's in Paris, France. A lot of negativity. Needless negativity. Constructive feedback is great. But the problem with Twitter at conferences is that people are paying more attention to the voice inside their head than they are paying attention to the voice on stage. And there's a reason the voice is on stage, and that's because the conference producer has... 2 hands on the wheel, 4 eyes on the road. The conference producer has selected that person to present a thought, an idea, something to the audience. And whether there's jealousy at play or just, bad time for the person to be there in the audience, they're not receptive to what's on stage. If you don't have anything nice to say, you shouldn't say it at all. So many people don't know how to complain properly. That was something that I overheard during the event, and I think that's true. So, if you've never produced a conference and you have something negative to say, be careful about how you present it. I was very respectful of Loic's feelings and Geraldine's feelings when I had some constructive feedback to provide. A, I didn't post it to Twitter as a complaint. And B, I certainly wouldn't have made it sound like it was the end of the world. And there were presenters on stage who I thought did an amazing job. Amazing. Because I was listening to what they were saying instead of worried about what I was going to present to the people who follow me on Twitter. It's not about me. It's about the person on stage. It's always that way at a conference. And Twitter for the conferences that I've been to is almost taken away from what's on stage, more than it's actually enhanced what's presented, specifically by trolls. People who, again, are more interested with a voice inside their head than they are with a voice that's on stage. Now, if they're not interested, it's the 2 feet rule. They got 2 feet, walk out. There's plenty to do. And Loic and Geraldine made sure there were plenty of activities happening on the conference floor. Food, drink, exhibits, plenty of conversations. I just can't help but think that Twitter needs to take a back seat when it comes to conference presentations. That's my opinion. I've seen it detract one too many times to say that it's a great addition to a conference. Too much negativity can swell, and while it may be the thought of the crowd, sometimes it's okay to keep your thoughts to yourself. There are a lot of important people in the room at any given time, but what's happening on stage is what you should be listening to. It's okay to share your thoughts and opinions, but I'm thinking that blog posts serve the community more during a conference than do tweets, especially when it comes to presentations that you may not happen to agree with. Because the problem with people sharing their opinions is they don't quite know how to share opinions without being rude, crude, vile, or just disrespectful altogether. There were, and I'm not going to name any names, some female presenters at LeWeb who I thought did a very good job. But the audience wasn't receptive to it. They were either there to listen to more dev-centric presentations, more hands-on information, or they just weren't interested in the message. That's fine. It's fine if you're not interested in the message. But you don't have to take the person down who's presenting the message to get your point across. It's okay for you not to agree. It's okay for you not to appreciate it from your own perspective, but appreciate that they were selected to be on stage for a reason. That's all I ask. If you're going to tweet at conferences, just be respectful. And I want to close this video again by saying thank you to Loic and Geraldine, who did an absolutely amazing job, and anybody who attended LeWeb 09 and did not appreciate it, well, in my opinion, they're in for a rude awakening, because that was an amazing, amazing event. Somehow they hooked it up so that all attendees could go into the City Hall at Paris. They only open up City Hall in Paris one day a year for the public. And somehow we got in. They arranged for us to do this. I was just speechless. So thank you to the city of Paris. Thank you to everybody who I met at LeWeb 09, who happened to start following me, who I may be following back now on Twitter, or Facebook, or YouTube. It was an amazing experience to be on stage. I appreciated the constructive feedback. I appreciated the positive sentiments as they were passed along on Twitter. I appreciated all the blog posts that I happened to read, even the ones that I had to translate from other languages. I thought it was very nice to see that. Didn't appreciate the negativity, though, and I choose to ignore that, as I choose to ignore negativity just about everywhere in my life. What are your thoughts on conferences and the role of Twitter during conference presentations? You can email me, leave a video response if you want, leave a comment. Of course, I've only started to support the comments that happen to be positive, that continue a good dialogue with the conversation, no matter where it happens to be, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, etc. I'm not into rudeness, really, crassness. Well, only when warranted. You can find me on Twitter, twitter.com/Chris Pirillo, my Facebook fan page, facebook.com/Chris Pirillo, blog, chris.pirillo.com. I've got some things brewing with lockergnome.net as well as lockergnome.com, community where I've been running, technology enthusiasm for a number of years. And yes, I did coin a new phrase there, enthusiasm. Not enthusiasm, enthusiasm. And if you need to know the definition, yeah, you can Google it. By the time you look for it, I should have defined it. Anyway, I've also got a chat room which is a part of a live video feed going out over the web, where I'm not streaming from my car. I'm actually streaming my home office here in Seattle, Washington, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Where I'm typically talking tech, if I am talking, and if I'm not, the chat room most certainly is. And you're more than welcome to join us at live.pirillo.com. We'll see you later.